Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go!
So I used to work as a cashier in a supermarket. This story took place during my first week there, specifically on my fourth day. I had only 2 days of training before they put me on a register by myself, which honestly wasn't nearly enough. But that's retail for you. Let me paint you a picture of what shopping is like where I live. Thursdays and Fridays are absolute chaos in our stores. On Fridays, all shops close early before sundown due to religious reasons. Around 2 p.m. in winter and at 4:30 p.m. in summer. This means everyone goes crazy trying to get their shopping done in time. Thursdays are just as bad because that's when all the smart people shop to avoid the Friday mayhem. This Thursday evening I was working the register when the store was packed like sardines. All 10 checkout lines were open with at least 6 or 7 people in each. That's when this really nice guy comes to my line with 2 massive shopping carts full of non-perishable items. Later found out he was buying for a community center. They stock up twice a year. With a smile, he told me something I had been dreading to hear, that this would be a delivery order. Now, deliveries are a nightmare, especially during rush hour. We need to call for extra help to bag everything, put items in special crates, input all the crate numbers into the computer, add delivery details, and print multiple copies of receipts. It's a whole process. I announced to the line that this was a delivery order and apologized for the delay it would cause. The whole line groaned, but nobody left. There was nowhere else to go anyway. So I started scanning as fast as I could. I'm good with numbers, so even as a newbie, I remembered most of the product codes. But soon enough, the items started piling up faster than our bagger could handle. They were literally falling off my counter. That's when I started helping with the bagging between scanning items, just enough to clear some space and keep things moving. This pattern continued. Scan, help bag, clear space, repeat. Then I heard this shrill voice from down the line. A woman was yelling, demanding to know what I was doing. I kept scanning, thinking she wasn't talking to me. She continued yelling, questioning what kind of cashier I was, and telling me to stop being lazy and do my job. I tried to explain that I was just trying to help, but she cut me off, screaming that it wasn't my job and that I should just be a cashier. I calmly explained that I was just trying to move things along faster and suggested she try another line if she was in a hurry. She just kept yelling, calling me stupid, and saying I should be fired. That's when my manager appeared beside her. He asked what the problem was, and she immediately started ranting about how awful I was, calling me lazy and demanding that I be fired. My manager tried to defend me, explaining that I was actually helping to make things go faster. She completely lost it then, screaming incoherently and spitting everywhere. But suddenly, this elderly woman behind her tried getting her attention. After several attempts at getting the angry woman to listen, the elderly woman finally managed to get her to turn around. When she did, the elderly woman simply told her that her daughter was crying. The whole store went silent. There was this little girl, maybe 4 years old, clutching her mom's legs, completely terrified and sobbing her heart out. But instead of comforting her child, the angry woman blamed us, screaming that me and my manager had made her daughter cry. She tried to swing at my manager, but amazingly, the elderly woman, who must have been at least 80, grabbed her in a bear hug from behind. Other customers jumped in to help separate them, and mall security showed up within seconds. They had to drag her away while she was still screaming and trying to fight everyone. I later heard from my co-worker that she was arrested and escorted out of the mall in handcuffs. Apparently, she also got banned from the mall for life. While all this was happening, I just kept scanning and bagging. The nice guy with the delivery order told me I was the fastest cashier he'd ever had, and everyone else in line was surprisingly patient after witnessing that show. One customer even brought me a chocolate bar during their next shopping trip, saying I handled the situation like a pro. I never planned on joining the military. I always imagined I'd go to college, get a regular job and live a quiet life. But life had other plans. When the 2008 recession hit, my family struggled. College became a distant dream and I needed a stable income and benefits. That's how I found myself at the recruiter's office, signing up for the United States Army. After completing basic training and my specialized training in personnel administration, I received my first duty station assignment, Okinawa, Japan. I was thrilled. A beautiful island paradise with rich culture, incredible food, and friendly locals. It seemed perfect. Little did I know that paradise would come with its own personal devil. My immediate supervisor, let's call her Sergeant Snake, was the epitome of everything wrong with leadership. From day one, she made it clear that she saw me as a threat rather than an asset. Maybe it was because I picked up the job quickly, or perhaps she just needed someone to torment. Either way, she made my life hell. I excelled at my job handling personnel records and status reports. Every morning I'd meticulously count and categorize everyone on the island, who was present for duty, who was on temporary duty elsewhere, who was on sick leave, regular leave, or pass. I built detailed reports and managed complex queries in our system. Need a list of all personnel with specific qualifications? I could pull that in minutes. Someone needs their record updated? I was your person. Monthly reports of incoming and outgoing personnel? That was all me. But Sergeant Snake had a special talent, taking credit for my work. The process was always the same. I would hand her the completed report she requested, and she would tell me to send it to her for review before forwarding it to Hawaii. Then, inevitably, in meetings, the higher-ups would praise her for the excellent work on the reports, and she would smugly respond by claiming she took pride in maintaining accurate records. She tried everything to build a case against me for non-judicial punishment, but she couldn't find anything. My work was impeccable, my attitude professional, and my records clean. So instead, she resorted to constant criticism and harassment. She would tell me my reports were garbage and order me to redo them. I would submit them again without changing anything, and she would praise the improved version, sarcastically commenting on how much better things were when I actually tried. When my tour was coming to an end, I wanted nothing more than to leave quietly. No farewell lunch, no award ceremony, nothing. Just pack up and go home to my baby. But that would have been too easy. One morning after physical training, my platoon sergeant stopped me and asked about my farewell plans. When I said I wasn't doing anything, that simple response sparked a ridiculous chain of events. Next thing I knew, I was called into an office with my platoon sergeant, Sergeant Snake, and her supervisor. The supervisor demanded to know exactly what I had said that morning. When I repeated my statement about not wanting to do anything for my farewell, he insisted on hearing my exact words. They were actually trying to give me non-judicial punishment for not wanting a farewell celebration. Thankfully, my commander had more sense than they did and shut it down, pointing out how absurd it was to punish someone who was leaving in 2 weeks. But they wouldn't let me leave without some kind of ceremony. They forced me to choose a restaurant and accept the lowest possible award, an Army Achievement Medal. The base command sergeant major had a policy that no one should leave with anything lower than an Army Commendation Medal, but Sergeant Snake made sure I got the minimum. I picked the most expensive restaurant in town out of spite. At the lunch, when they presented my award and asked for a speech, I said remarks complete and sat down. Someone in the crowd expressed shock at my brevity, joking that I must be sick since I had nothing to say. My officer in command offered to pay for my lunch, but I just grabbed my baby from the lieutenant, the only person besides my Filipino soldier friends I trusted was my child, and left. I walked straight to the commander's office and told him plainly that it was obvious I was only given this award because the command sergeant major had questioned why I was leaving without one, and they had given me the lowest award possible. When he asked if I wanted to keep my paperwork for my records, I declined. But I wasn't done. For my final act, I bought a small electronic device that emitted random beeps every few minutes. 3 days before my departure, I arrived early, climbed on top of the filing cabinets, and tossed it over the wall into Sergeant Snake's office. Another soldier kept asking about the mysterious beeping sound. while I just smiled innocently and claimed ignorance. I spent my last days listening to those mysterious beeps with pure joy, knowing that long after I was gone, Sergeant Snake would be driven crazy trying to find the source of that random beeping, at least until either the battery died or she got transferred back to the United States. They should have just let me leave quietly. Instead, they got to deal with a mysterious beeping sound that would haunt their office for months to come. Some say to this day, Sergeant Snake still flinches at unexpected beeping sounds. I have a younger sister by 3 years, and while she always had a habit of copying everything I did, I never minded it too much. When I got into dance, she joined dance. When I started playing violin, she begged our parents for violin lessons. Even when I started dating, she somehow always ended up dating guys similar to mine. But this was different. This was crossing every possible line. My husband and I had been trying to conceive for 2 years. We went through 3 rounds of fertility treatments, and finally, we got pregnant. When we told our family, my sister hugged me tight and cried, saying how happy she was for us. She even offered to help plan my baby shower. That should have been my first red flag. 2 months later, she started wearing loose clothes and making weird comments about feeling nauseous in the morning. My mother was over the moon. Both her daughters pregnant at the same time. Except, I knew something was off. My sister wasn't married, wasn't dating anyone, and had always been vocal about not wanting kids. Still, she showed everyone ultrasound pictures. She even claimed to be due just 2 weeks after me. Then came the day of my baby shower. I showed up at my mother's house at the planned time only to find the place empty. My calls went unanswered. Finally, my best friend called me. She asked where I was, saying everyone was at the community center for my sister's shower. Confused, I told her that my shower was supposed to be today. She corrected me, saying my sister had told everyone that we'd agreed to combine the showers and moved it to the community center. They'd already been there for an hour. I drove to the community center like a madwoman, and when I walked in, all my friends and family were there, cooing over my sister who was sitting in a decorated chair, surrounded by gifts. My gifts. I recognized the wrapping paper my best friend always uses and the gift bags my aunt favors. I demanded to know what was going on. The room fell silent. My sister looked up completely unfazed. She casually greeted me, saying she was just about to call me. I confronted her about this being my shower and those being my gifts. She had the nerve to call me selfish, claiming that since we were both pregnant, we could share, insisting that I didn't need 2 of everything anyway. When I accused her of not even being pregnant, she got defensive and dramatically held up some ultrasounds as proof. I instantly recognized them as my ultrasound pictures, the ones that had gone missing from my purse last month. That's when I lost it. I grabbed her loose dress and yanked it tight, revealing the pillow stuffed underneath. The room gasped. My sister's face turned red, but instead of shame, she showed anger. She burst out in rage, screaming about how I always got everything, the attention, the love, the perfect husband. And now it was her turn. My mother stood up shaking. She asked my sister if she had really faked the pregnancy and stolen my shower. My sister, still defiant, yelled back that I didn't deserve it because I already had everything. That's when my mother did something I'd never seen before. She walked up to my sister, grabbed her by the ear like she used to when we were kids, and dragged her to the center of the room. She commanded her to tell everyone the truth right then and there. My sister, still defiant, spilled everything. How she'd stolen my ultrasound pictures, how she'd been planning this for weeks, how she'd called all the guests to change the venue. She even admitted to breaking into my email to get the guest list and contact information. The aftermath was spectacular. Not only did she have to return all the gifts, but my mother made her stand there and apologize to every single guest individually as they left. She was banned from my actual baby shower, which was rescheduled for the following weekend. My parents made her move out of their house where she'd been living rent-free and cut off her access to their credit cards. She'd pulled this stunt at her workplace too, claiming maternity leave benefits. When her lie was exposed, she was fired for fraud. She is now living in a tiny studio apartment, working minimum wage, and none of our relatives will talk to her unless she gets professional help. And my baby shower was perfect, filled with genuine love and support, and not a fake ultrasound in sight. I love animals, and after getting laid off from my corporate job during company-wide downsizing, I decided to pursue my passion by starting a pet sitting service. The transition wasn't easy, but I built a solid reputation over 6 months through word of mouth and positive reviews. That's when I got the message that would turn my life upside down. The woman messaged me through my business page saying she needed someone to watch her precious baby, a 3-year-old African gray parrot, for 8 hours each day while she was at work. The pay seemed decent, and I had experience with birds from volunteering at an animal shelter, so I agreed to meet her for an interview. From the moment I stepped into her luxury apartment, I knew something was off. She was wearing what looked like expensive clothes from head to toe, and her apartment was filled with expensive artwork and furniture. The parrot's cage was literally gold-plated. She introduced herself, and I quickly decided to call her Karen because she fit the stereotype perfectly. She started by telling me that her precious angel required the highest standard of care, emphasizing that he wasn't just any bird, he was gifted. I replied politely, assuring her that I had experience with parrots and understood their needs for attention and enrichment. What followed was the most ridiculous list of demands I'd ever heard. She wanted me to prepare fresh organic meals for the parrot, not just regular bird food but actual gourmet dishes with specific ingredients that had to be sourced from specialty stores. The bird apparently needed classical music played during its meditation hour and expected me to sing French lullabies during its 2 mandatory nap times. Then she dropped another bombshell, telling me that I needed to teach the parrot French. She explained that he already knew some basic words but wanted him fully fluent within 3 months. When I pointed out that teaching a foreign language wasn't part of the original job description and that I didn't even speak French, she just brushed it off cheerfully, saying we could learn together, as if it was some exciting opportunity. When we finally got to discussing payment, she delivered the final shock. She explained that since I'd be getting the privilege of spending time with her angel, and since she was providing such a wonderful learning opportunity for me to improve my French, she thought the experience itself was payment enough. I tried to reason with her, explaining that this was my profession and source of income, not a hobby. I told her apologetically that I couldn't work for free and quoted my standard daily rate, adding that these additional services would actually increase that rate. She responded with outrage, accusing me of trying to put a price on love and insisting that if I were a true animal lover, I'd do this out of passion. She claimed she was offering me an opportunity that people would kill for. Against my better judgment, and because I needed the reference for my growing business, I agreed to a severely reduced rate, about a quarter of what the job should have paid. That was my first mistake. The next 2 weeks were hell. Every day she'd call or text at least 10 times asking for updates, photos, and videos of her angel. She'd criticize everything. The organic quinoa wasn't cooked to the right consistency, the French pronunciation wasn't Parisian enough, the classical music playlist wasn't sophisticated enough. The final straw came when she installed hidden cameras without telling me, and then berated me for taking a 5-minute bathroom break. She sent me an angry message about how I had abandoned her baby for 6 whole minutes, claiming he could have developed separation anxiety. She even had the audacity to ask if I knew how expensive bird therapists were. I quit on the spot. That's when things got crazy. She went on a rampage, posting on every social media platform about how I had abused and neglected her precious angel. She claimed I had traumatized her parrot by singing off-key and serving substandard organic vegetables. She even created a website called Bad Pet Nanny Exposed with my business photos and completely fabricated stories. But here's where it gets good. Her campaign caught the attention of a popular social media account that specialized in exposing entitled behavior. They reached out to me for my side of the story, and I shared everything, including screenshots of her ridiculous demands and text messages plus clips from her own security cameras showing the perfectly healthy and happy parrot receiving better care than most humans. The internet did its thing. Within days, her attack backfired spectacularly. People started sharing their own choosing beggar stories, and her behavior became a meme. Someone even made a parody song about the parrot princess and her French-speaking dreams that went viral. Her employer, a high-end law firm, caught wind of the situation. Apparently, they weren't too thrilled about having an employee who tried to get free labor through harassment and then launched a defamation campaign. They were even less thrilled when they discovered she'd been using company time and resources to wage her social media war against me. She was fired, and several of my other clients came forward to help me pursue legal action against her for defamation. The lawsuit was successful, and she was ordered to pay damages and publicly retract her statements. She had to sell her luxury apartment and move to a smaller place. The gold-plated cage was listed on an online marketplace. Her parents took the parrot in, and from what I've seen on their social media, he's much happier now, even if he never learned to speak French. My pet sitting business is currently thriving. The publicity actually helped me gain more clients who appreciated my professional approach to pet care. I even got certified in exotic bird care and now specialize in parrot sitting, though I make it clear upfront that French lessons are not included in the service package. And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.